Hello everyone and welcome to the classroom. Today we'll be exploring the musculoskeletal system. This is part 1 in our series where we'll focus on the foundations, which include bones, muscles, joints, fascia, and connective tissue. So let's get started. Before we dive into the science, let's start with questions that clients often ask, because that's where learning really connects to practice. It is going to help us as we go along to be able to understand why we answer these questions the way that we do. So first of all, why do my joints pop or crack? And that sound is usually just gas bubbles moving in the joint fluid, the synovial fluid, and it's harmless most of the time unless there's pain or swelling, and then of course you would want to refer them to a doctor. Another common one is it normal to feel sore after a massage or workout? Yes, of course it is. That soreness is called delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS, DOMS. It's your body adapting and building stronger muscles. And finally, for this particular slide, why does posture matter so much? Well, good posture reduces strain on the muscles and joints, and poor posture over time can lead to tension, and that's especially in the neck or the back. Clients also ask, what's the difference between a sprain and a strain? Sprains involve ligaments, the tissues that connect bone to bone, and strains involve muscles or tendons. Both hurt and they affect different structures. One of my favorites is, can massage really help with tension and flexibility? And of course, that answer is absolutely. Massage improves circulation, it reduces adhesions in the fascia, and restores range of motion. It's not just relaxing, it's therapeutic, right? Now that we've covered some of the everyday questions that clients ask, let's zoom out and take a deeper look at the science behind the musculoskeletal system. Understanding the structure and function will help you connect those client questions to real anatomy. The musculoskeletal system is both our body's framework and its engine. It supports us, it protects us, and it allows us to move. Without it, we'd be like a wobbly jellyfish trying to walk on land, or a blob of jello. Not very practical. Today we'll see how bones, muscles, joints, and connective tissue all work together like a team to build and keep us upright, moving, and strong. Moving on to bone structure and function. Bones are alive. They're made of collagen for flexibility and minerals for strength, like rebar inside of concrete. And inside the bone, you have two important teams at work: osteoblasts, which they're the builders that make new bone, and osteoclasts, the demolition crew that break down old bone. Hormones also regulate bone health, and calcitonin tells bones to store calcium, while parathyroid hormone, or otherwise known as PTH, releases calcium into the bloodstream. And a really fun fact is, every 7 to 10 years, you replace nearly your entire skeleton. And according to Wolff's Law, bones adapt to the stress you put on them. That's why astronauts lose bone density in space, and why weightlifters develop denser bones here on Earth. Now that we've built a strong skeleton, let's add engines that make it move, the muscles. Muscle structure and function. Muscles are made of fibers bundled into fascicles, and think of this as ropes within ropes, and how strong that structure must be. And they contract in different ways. There's concentric, when the muscle shortens, like lifting a weight; eccentric, when it lengthens under control, like lowering that weight, so like dumbbell curls. That's a perfect example. Isometric, when the muscle contracts without moving, and that's like holding a plank, still takes very strong muscles. And isotonic, where movement happens with constant tension. Muscles use energy either aerobically with oxygen for endurance or anaerobically without oxygen for short bursts. And that's when that lactic acid builds up and gives you that famous burn. And I think it's important to note that the myth about massage helping rid the body of lactic acid was debunked several years ago. And lactic acid kind of clears on its own. But massage does move around toxins in our body, and that's why it is important to drink plenty of water, because as we get a massage, it also, the massage does kind of dehydrate us a little bit, and we do need water to replenish those muscles. It's very important. So I just wanted to make that clear. That's a something that I have heard massage therapists tell their clients, and I just didn't want you to make the same mistake. Now, another fun fact before we move on, one of the strongest muscles in our body is, pound for pound, the jaw muscle. It's the masseter, and it's like chewing is one of our superpowers. It's very, very, very fascinating. Of course, muscles and bones can't do much without joints to connect them and allow movement, so let's dive in and take a closer look. Joints are where bones meet, and they are designed for movement. So we first have synarthroses, which are immovable, and those are, for example, the bones in your skull, and they're connected by tightly connected fibrous tissues. Then you have amphiarthroses, and those are slightly movable. Examples of that are the intervertebral discs, that those are the discs between the vertebrae and the spine. The pubic symphysis, the joint between the two pubic bones in the pelvis. And another example is the rib sternum joints, and those joints are between the ribs and the breastbone. Then, of course, you have diarthroses, and those are freely movable, or synovial joints is another name for those, where you have cartilage membrane fluid. And some of the joints for synovial, they're broken down into other categories. You have ball and socket joints, and those are like the hip and the shoulder. They allow big circular movements. You have hinge joints, like the knee and the elbow, that open and close. Pivot joints, like the neck, that let us turn side to side. And gliding joints, like the wrist. They allow sliding movements. And the shoulder joint is the most mobile in the body, but that mobility comes at a cost, because it's also the most likely to dislocate. And mobility and stability are always a trade-off. So in other words, the shoulder joint is kind of like the party animal of the bone structure. It allows us to move in quite crazy ways. Finally, let's not forget the unsung hero that holds all of this together: fascia and connective tissues. Fascia is like a full body stocking that wraps around every muscle, bone, and organ. It holds everything in place while still allowing smooth movement. If everything in your body dissolved except for fascia, you'd still look like yourself, because it's that interconnected. And other connective tissues include tendons, which that connects muscle to bone, ligaments, which connect bone to bone, and cartilage, which cushions the joints. These often work silently behind the scenes, but without them, our bodies would creak like an old rocking chair. So that's part one of our musculoskeletal journey. We've covered client frequently asked questions: bones, muscles, joints, and fascia. And just remember that this system isn't static, it's alive, and it's always adapting to how you use your body. And the more you move and take care of it, the stronger and healthier it becomes. And it is one of the reasons why massage is so important. So I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me here, and I'll see you in the next lesson.